As it seems to go across many Eagles fans, the conversation of cornerback when it comes to the draft has been widely discussed between, well, really two prospects so far that may not go past the 10th pick in the draft between Ahmad Sauce Gardner and Derek Stingley Jr. However, if the Eagles manage to stay at 15 and believe that they can get their guy there, depending how the rest of the board falls, they may not be worse for wear when it comes to making their first pick a corner. And, well, this is where I make a case for Clemson cornerback Andrew Booth Jr. What is up, Bird brothers and sisters? Good to be back. Lindy Endzone in the building for the touchdown, taking the lead for the Philadelphia Eagles, one video at a time. Oh man, it's awfully different that I do not have that intro going on, and I'm still kind of under construction here in terms of what I want to do with the channel and trying to make an intro and maybe create an outro. I don't know. I think I'm good with my profile, my channel picture for the time being, but any assistance in that regard would be greatly appreciated. As a side note. But let me get into the conversation here. Now, this five-star recruit going into the ACC, a team that we have, a team that we have drafted a prospect from before, as of recently, in Kayvon Wallace. And while, you know, yeah, there are two different positional players. There are two different prospects. Kayvon was a fourth rounder, where we see Andrew projected to be a mid first round pick, and he certainly deserves it. So, and going over his notes and everything, and kind of understanding where the Eagles are at in terms of the cornerback position. They really have no depth, especially on the outside when they're yet again trying to find some quality players to put either behind Darius Slay, or Slay, as we all know that we should call him. But trying to find some guys to either put behind Slay or take Slay's place. The older he gets and close to retirement. Um, and I think that's where a guy like Andrew Booth Jr. comes in. Yeah, he's not one of the top regarded ones in the draft for sure. He's probably the number three behind Stingley and Ahmad Sauce Gardner, like everybody else is trying to go for. But in looking over all of his notes and everything, and from what I'm seeing and trying to gather, and what we have heard, from uh, individuals in the Eagles front office, like what we have heard from Sirianni and Howie Roseman, and them trying to get younger. Well, more so on Howie Roseman's side, and trying to get younger and letting the young kids play. It kind of fits the mold. It kind of fits the mold here in the direction that they're going. That we're not seeing very too many free agent acquisitions at core positions that we know are still in desperate need, like corner. And I think that's where a guy like Andrew Booth comes in, if the Eagles so happen to stay at 15 and don't package anything to move up to get Ahmad Sauce Gardner, a player that they've already spent one of their top 30 visits on. Andrew Booth Jr. has already paid a visit to Philly, Jameson Williams, to name a few. But before I carry this on, like I was saying, when I'm going over, as well as I continue to say, going over Andrew's notes and everything, and hearing what the front office, coaching staff, and all of them had to say, he's he's kind of a perfect fit, if I'm being honest. And um, you know and reading over parts of his profile, and a couple of key areas stuck out to me is the fact that he is. He's a prospect at the corner position that's very versatile, and as we have known in the past, Jim Schwartz and the secondary coach, they've really liked some versatile players that they can put where they seem fit or where they need to be when the depth isn't necessarily there. Andrew fits that mold. He can play on the outside. He can play on the inside. He has special teams experience, so you can throw him there if you want. He's not afraid of man. He's not afraid of press. And he does have a little bit of cleaning up to do in zone, but as far as any of those kinds of coverages, he really doesn't necessarily have a glaring weakness. And a prospect coming in at the build of Darius Slay isn't the worst thing in the world either when we're talking about an outside starting corner in the NFL. His measurables line up to be just enough. He, coming in at 6 foot 195. Darius Slay himself is 6 foot 190 to 195. So, I mean, it's not necessarily a big deal when you think about it. And I think, if we don't manage to grab a Stingley or a Sauce Gardner, then there's nothing wrong with the selection of Andrew Booth Jr. Granted, yeah, he's coming from Clemson, and the ACC isn't as competitive as the SEC, but it wasn't so long ago that we've seen Trevor Lawrence take Clemson into, where he'd take him into national championship games facing some SEC competition. So, I mean, they do have the talent there, and while a guy like K'Von Wallace hasn't shown any of that, and in that kind of advertising the program that Clemson has and everything else that came with it, Andrew's pretty much a better player at his position, so we're not losing out on much. And I forgot what I was going to say at the. Oh yes, I'm sorry about that. But we are not alone in terms of top 30 visitations. The Bills, Bengals, Patriots, Ravens, and Falcons have also had a visit with Andrew Booth Jr. So there is quite a lot of eyes on him, and deservingly so, being that he is going to go in the first round. So, I mean, in terms of a pretty good backup plan, the Eagles can't go wrong in this situation. So, in terms of scheme fit, in terms of measurables, in terms of performance and capability, if Gardner and Stingley aren't there for the Philadelphia Eagles, Andrew Booth could very well be their guy, and I wouldn't have a problem with it whatsoever. Hence me making the case at the 15th pick. At the 15th pick, if the Eagles do so manage to stay there. But let me know what you guys think down in the comments on this. Do I have a case for Andrew Booth Jr.? Do I not have a case? Or are you guys completely locked on and trying to get Sauce Gardner or Derek Stingley Jr.? Let me know down in the comments. Appreciate you guys sticking around to the end of the video. That is going to be it for me. Lindy is heading out of here. Fly Eagles, fly bleed green. You already know the deal. Take care of yourselves, everyone, and I will see you soon.